And with that, our next speaker is one of our Agile coaches who attended Elyria High School and graduated from Hiram College. Their New Year's resolution is to make quarterly resolutions. Sound familiar? Fun fact, he used to cover music for the Cleveland Free Times and Scene magazine. Please welcome up JWillets.
Yep. Here we go. Buckle up. And now. Hi, everybody. This is a picture of my grandparents, and they are one of the first things that I thought about when Tila opened this discussion topic up for us, because they always valued education a whole heck of a lot. And I don't know whether they ever actually said that phrase that I titled my talk, but I feel like that spirit was there throughout my upbringing. And I think my upbringing seemed pretty normal. I went to public school, like Tila said. Liberal arts college, got a corporate job. I thought I'd arrived. I thought my education was done. I was 22. I had a house. But no, I was looking for more challenges, so I got a job here. And it was a completely new education for me. It was a cultural education. It was a day-to-day business process education. But after 5 or so years, I felt like I was still missing something, and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. So I shifted to a different department here at Highland. And it definitely, this is my job description now, and you'll note the responsibility I highlighted is learning. It's going outside of our walls and bringing back in new things. And it's one of the things that I really, really value about this current position I'm in. I love exposing people to new ideas. To Shipper's point about learning something and sharing it and teaching it, I love that part about my job. This is kind of how that looks in practical terms. It's books, it's lectures, it's anything under the sun, but I think one of the really important components is peer motivation. There's a team of us that do this all together, and having us all kind of marching to the same educational learning beat, I think, is really, really important. And cool stuff happens. See these pictures? This is cool stuff that happens when you get outside the walls of Highland and experience life with your team members. You pose in front of Schmidt's Sausage House with a guy from Egypt, and you take pictures of yourself with Viking horns on. And yeah, I would encourage you to get outside our walls, like Shipper said, and I think like Olga's going to say here pretty soon. But it doesn't have to be all physical. It can be just something as simple as opening a Twitter account and following people that are related to your career field or interest. I've had so many conversations with people that I've never met before, or who are really, really expensive keynote speakers, that I can have over Twitter for free and pick their brains. So I think that's an incredibly valuable asset. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that was a book that I had pretty much wanted to avoid reading because it's so legendary. But I did read it this past year, and one of the main concepts in that book is sharpening your saw. It's kind of what Miguel alluded to through the annual meeting, that education is our responsibility, and sharpening your saw and having that mentality and mindset. And it was through sharpening my saw that it led me to this quote by this really smart Harvard guy about learning and about how most people don't know how to learn, and that really threw me for a loop. And it again, sort of, like Miguel said, it's our responsibility for our company to learn, but I also think it's our responsibility as human beings to learn. I think learning is something that is an innately piece of what it means to be human. And looking inwardly, I think, is kind of the start of that, which leads me to sort of the second half of my presentation that talks about introspection. Because I think that introspection really makes your brain fertile to learn new things and learn and execute those new things. So what do I mean by introspection? For me personally, it's yoga and it's meditation, and it's like I said, preparing myself to be a fertile environment for learning new things. But it doesn't have to be all physical things. It can be something as simple as having a conversation with somebody. And this is a picture that came out of a conversation that I had at a conference this past year about joy and happiness and passion and purpose. And that really spurred me to think about my own life and really get inside my own head to try and figure out what I want for my life and what I want for my career. And one of the discoveries that led me to was examining our work-life balance motto and how that relates to me. And at first that sort of seems desirable, but to me it feel like it now kind of implies division. And so in 2016, part of my educational goal is to start bringing my whole self to work and seeing how that works. And I think that sentiment, that idea of bringing not only your professional self but your personal self to the office is very much imbued in these core values. It isn't specifically spelled out, but I think it's in there in the spirit of that. And so now for the next slide in 3 seconds. Legos, yes, Legos. The last bit of my presentation, relearning. I think relearning is a very important part of my educational process and my educational desires for the coming year, because I've grown up. I'm not Peter Pan. I have kids. I have a wife. It's taken its toll on me, and I don't have time for the things that I used to love to do. Like, I mean, Joe played me up with a song that I wrote 10 years ago that's on Spotify, so you've earned me a fraction of a cent, sir. But you can see here, I don't have time for that anymore, but I'm going to try and make more time for that in 2016, because I have time now, and that's really, really important to me, to learn and relearn how to write songs and put music together and experience the thrill of music. This is a screenshot of my iPhone desktop. So to Shipper's point about making learning easy, I've made it easy by putting it on the device I carry around with me all day. So hopefully I'll start doing that. Again, like I said, quarterly resolutions, right? Quarterly resolutions. Pause. My kids, they are a vast resource of relearning. They just started ice skating lessons. I hadn't been on the ice in probably 10 years, so getting on the ice with them made me relearn and relove my desire for ice skating. Swimming or just hanging out outside, I think those are all incredibly awesome things that I've had a chance to experience through their eyes, because, I mean, they're kids. Learning is their job. Even in the children's programming they watch, whether it's Grover learning that he has to limit his work in progress, he can't juggle a basketball and paint a picture and bake something at the same time, or Cookie Monster realizing that he has to focus. He can't eat his co-pilot because his co-pilot is a giant cookie. These are important lessons that I think we all can take something from. It's when you find it. And so the last little thing to leave you guys with, debriefing. This is another kind of introspection technique. After you learn something, ask yourself how you feel about it, what observations you have, what meaning you could apply to it, and what you can do in the future. So I'm going to go sit down and do that now. Thanks.